you a storyteller, Thomas Covenant?" Absently he replied, "I was, once." "And you gave it up? Ah, that is as sad a tale in 3 words as any you might have told me. But a life without a tale is like a sea without salt. How do you live?" Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hemvar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Stephen R. Donaldson's Lord Fowl's Bane. Lord Fowl's Bane is a 1977 fantasy novel in Book 1 in the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever. Thomas Covenant walks unclean through his small town at the start of the story. He goes in defiance of his ostracism to pay his phone bill. He is a leper, having lost all feeling and become outcast by the mystery of the disease. His wife left him, and this lack of feeling included sexual ones. Before his illness, he became a best-selling author, and his wife broke horses for a living before having their son. She left with this child, and Thomas doesn't know where they are. He lives in life in solitude and with rage and shame at his circumstances. But this is well known as a portal fantasy, I feel like. He meets a homeless man in town, and after an enigmatic conversation, he gets hit by a police car and wakes up before a goblin-like figure called Drool before being whisked away by a disembodied Lord Fowl. This transportation to the so-called land, just capital L land, is a bit suffocating as it happens as the conversations had within Thomas's hearing don't really make any sense. But it's easy to read, at least, and I found the story rolled along very well to start. Kevin is one of these first fantasy names we experience. It seems, it doesn't really sound like it. Though Fowl has plenty of names, they seem to be descriptive or just titles for him. This is a series known for something, and I say it's not a spoiler, though it takes a handful of chapters to get to, as this is key to the book and the series. In Covenant's near madness of thinking the land is but dream imagination, he rapes a teenage girl, and then proceeds to travel hundreds of miles with the girl's mom. Most of the people have made oaths to peace and will not harm him even when they want to. Alienation and reenchantment via some Tolkien-esque fantasy tropes are heavily prevalent here. The land is lovely but troubled by returned shadow, and it's very obvious it's a macro echo of Covenant's own mind, his problems. For example, Beric Halfhand, Earthfriend, Heartthew, Lord Father, a legendary figure, had missing fingers just like Covenant does. He has a ring that is of white gold and seemingly connected to magic in the land. There's also a tree magic and wood magic practiced by people of the Wood Helvens and Stone Downs, respectively. These people are human but resemble elves and dwarves of sorts. The land itself feels utopian and mythical. Health can be perceived, and so can bad things like murder physically affecting the land. It also feels kind of like a dream. Hence in Covenant's madness, he does some bad things, but he is learning how to be better, even in his fantasy. The action itself is reserved for a good chunk of the book. Fantasy dialogue is thick like molasses, but not particularly hard to read. We get ideas of inner power, healing, potential, lots of emotion. Not necessarily good and evil, but the option for both. The novel works okay if you want it to be standalone as well. One crisis is averted, but more looms. And there is somewhat of a cliffhanger at the end, though. It definitely drags at times. It has a nice lesson on alienation and spite, but isn't the most entertaining novel I've ever read. I mean, it is epic fantasy, so again, it's definitely long, and I didn't find it the most entertaining compared to a lot of epic fantasy I've read, which I think does it a little better. But I can appreciate Donaldson trying to get into the nitty-gritty and hitting on some themes that are important. As far as first books go, in a series, I should say, this is my second Donaldson I read, and the other one was the first book in his sci-fi series, and I enjoyed that first book more, so I might continue with that sci-fi series before I continue with this series, Thomas Covenant. So anyways, I'm kind of surprised it took me a while to get to this classic, but we'll see where I go from here. Liam from Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.